guys, SUBMOTO here. So first of all, let me start off by apologizing to all who I have not answered in the comment section. There's something wrong with YouTube, and I'm just not getting notifications. I literally have to go through all my videos and check the comments, and I'll run across a bunch of comments that I've gotten that I haven't ever gotten any notifications for. So if I haven't answered your questions, sorry. But that's not what this is going to be about. This is going to be about what to look for when you buy a new or a used motorcycle. As you know, I just bought a Yamaha SR 500, which I'm starting on. I already put out part 1, and before I get to part 2, the first few parts are going to be getting the bike up and running, because that's what you should always do before you even consider the design aspect of it. You should, or before you even start buying stuff for it, make sure your bike functions properly, because there's nothing worse than building a bike, like a project, and then all of a sudden it's burning oil, or the gaskets need to be changed, you need to pull the motor off, or whatever, something like that. Make sure that you get a valve adjustment and get a compression test. You make sure that everything on that bike works as well as you possibly can before you even start. But that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what to look for when you buy a used bike, specifically for people who want to make a cafe racer or a tracker of sorts. So enough about that. Let's take a look. Okay, well, just to be clear, this is not part 2 of my build. This is just a video that I thought was relevant, since I just bought the SR, of things to look at whenever you're out buying a motorcycle. I would have wanted to show you this on a stock motorcycle before the build, but I don't have one, so this will have to do. Now, whenever you look at a stock bike, make sure you see through these. There's a lot of videos out there on YouTube as far as what to look for on a bike when you're buying a new bike. And a lot of the stuff that you see out there is completely irrelevant. Like, oh, check the mirrors that they're. Well, who cares? You're going to change the mirrors. Well, check the headlight. Well, you're going to change the headlight. So look through your build. Look through the bike. Make sure that the essentials work. Make sure it's not leaking oil. Make sure that everything on there functionally works correctly. Everything you're going to need: the wheels, the suspension, this and that. Even the suspension you may want to end up changing anyway. But make sure you see through the bike. So only look for the things that will be left over after your build. So the first thing you want to look at when buying a motorcycle is you want to make sure that the bike is cold, and you do that by touching the pipes real quick and seeing, okay, is the engine warm or is it cold? If it's warm, that is an indicator that the bike has been started, and most likely they've started it to make it easier to start whenever the buyer comes by, and that may be an indicator that it might have trouble starting up from a cold engine. If you have bluing in your pipes, that means that you most likely have an engine that's getting way too hot. These pipes are kind of special because they have double layering. So chances are that if this bike were running lean and if it were too hot, you probably still wouldn't be able to see it because of the double layering it has on the pipes. If you have a chance for it, then make sure you bring a tool with you so you can pull the spark plugs. You want to look at the spark plugs. When a spark plug looks like this, that means it's running lean, and when it looks like this, that means it's running rich, and you want it to be brownish like this. Now, if the spark plugs look black but like this, like all shiny you might have, it might be burning oil. Just to give you a quick demonstration. Whenever you do start the engine, you want to give it gas. I don't know if you can see that. That right there, the black smoke, it's not supposed to do that. That means that it's burning oil. See, here's an example of a bike that isn't. So those are two examples of what it's supposed to look like and what it's not supposed to look like. You want to check the oil level too, now that we talked about oil a little bit. Whenever you, if it has a center stand, most likely it will, you want to, before you start the engine actually, put it on the center stand, make sure it's leveled, on a leveled surface. And it's different from bike to bike, but here for example you have the oil level, it's on full right there, which is amazing because it is burning oil. You know, check the oil level. If the oil level is low, there's a good chance it's burning oil. Like, why would the oil level be low? You know, it's either dripping or it's burning it. Or he didn't fill it up all the way, which is even worse. If he didn't fill up his bike with oil, that means he doesn't know how to take care of it. You know, walk away from it. Whenever you look at a bike, make sure that there's good lighting. Make sure you can see things. You can look under the engine, and you know, you want to look at see if it's leaking oil and stuff like that. Look under the bike, see if there's oil coming out of it. As you can see, it's already dripping a little bit, so there is some oil. It means it's got bad gaskets, and you can actually see the oil leaking out here, right there, which means that this gasket right here is has a problem, which would mean you'd probably have to take the engine out and take it apart and change the gaskets on there. Again, you know, not a deal breaker, but it's just, you know, it's just a hassle to have to take the engine off. A really important thing is, if somebody's dropped a bike, you want to make sure you look for scuffs and stuff like that. Like if you see scratch marks on the side, there's a good chance that it's been dropped. There's nothing wrong with dropping a bike and getting some scratches on it, but if it's had a bad tumble, you may risk the frame not being straight. So if you can, take off the side panels. You're gonna have to take off the side panels anyway, just to look at the battery and see what it looks like in there. So absolutely make sure you take your side panels off, and if it needs tools, ask him to do that for you. If he refuses, don't buy the bike. Take the seat off also, and check the frame as well as you can. Obviously you won't be able to tell 100% without taking off the tank, but make sure that the frame seems straight and that there are some immediate cracks in this. Is completely rusty. Anyway, a little bit of rust isn't going to be a problem. Don't worry about rust. Rust, you can get that off pretty quick and pretty easy. Especially in climates like in this country where everything's wet all the time, and you know, you get rust on your bikes. It's just the way it is. But make sure there are no like apparent cracks in the welds and stuff, because that would be an indicator that it's been dropped, and if it does that, that could be a dangerous situation for you. Now, one thing that's really important is never ever to buy a bike on pure excitement. I did that on this bike. I saw the bike, I'm like, oh man, that's perfect for my build and this and that, and you know, I was young and green. I had no idea what I was doing and looking at, and you know, the guy couldn't even start the bike for me, and I bought it anyway because I figured, oh, I'll fix it up. You know, look at it now, stuff I need to do on it. And like I said in the other video, don't ever even consider the rebuilding, like the customizing part of a motorcycle build before your bike actually works. You want to function properly first. So you buy a stock bike, you make sure it runs 100%. Everything in the engine, do a compression test, do a valve test, everything on there just needs to work 100% before you even consider building stuff or like customizing it. And you know, part of that is just checking that it can start whenever you look at it. So never ever buy on excitement. Keep a cold head and be prepared to walk away from that bike. You know, another thing you might want to look at is your tires. Make sure that they're not too wasted. If they are, you're going to have to buy new tires. Chances are you're going to buy new tires anyway if you buy a stock bike, because stock bikes have really small tires. The rear tire is probably most likely a tire you'd want to keep, because usually this is the stock tire actually, and it's a pretty good size, so I just kept that on there. Same thing on the SR250. So you want to check that and make sure that it's okay. As far as the wheels go, you want to make sure, and this is important, that if you put the wheel between your legs like this and you move the handlebars, that it's tight and that there's nothing loose on there. Also, you can check the rear tire by doing the same thing. Make sure that nothing is loose on the rear tire. That may be an indicator that your swing arm, right there, the bearings on the swing arm may have to be changed. That's what happened on my SR 500. I saw that when I bought the bike, and I knew that the first thing I need to do was change the bearings on the swing arm. I'm still waiting for the parts, but I took the swing arm off, which I did on my last video, and that's something you want to check definitely. Also, get on the bike and just give it a good nudge with the brakes on. Just make sure nothing's loose on there. Also, compress the suspension, the front suspension, and make sure that there are no leaks. If you see oil coming out of here, that would mean that you're going to have to inspect or fix your suspension, front suspension. So give it a good nudge. If it does have gaiters like that, you know, pull up the gaiters and do the same thing, and make sure that that everything on there is tight and that it's not leaking oil. Whenever you do want to check the electrical system, a very common problem is that it won't be charging properly. So when you start the engine, one way of checking that the stator or the rotor is actually charging is to give it some gas. If you see that it kind of gets brighter, it's going to get hard to pick up on GoPro, but if you see that it kind of gets brighter whenever you do rev the engine, that means that the stator is most likely charging. That's one way of checking it. I don't know if this little bike will do it more. Yeah, it gets a little brighter every time I rev, which means you have a good stator. Another real important thing is check the gas tank for rust. You know, get a flashlight in there and look inside the tank. Make sure that there's no rust. It could be a little bit like there's in this one, but you know, just no big like rust particles floating around and stuff like that, because that stuff will get in your gas, and that'll give you a nightmare. You're gonna have to clean out your tank and all, and that might be something to consider. Also, if you're gonna change the tank anyway, then that'll be okay. But you know, make sure you check that. Also, look at disc brakes, like the disc brakes, that they don't have any crazy grooves on there. This one has a little bit, but it's not that bad. If it does have, that may mean that he's been neglecting his brakes. Again, a general indicator has not been taking care of his bike, or you may eventually have to change these discs. Make sure that you know the bike. If you have if you're able to borrow one, rent one, or whatever, so that when you get on that bike and you ride it, you know right away, all right, there's something wrong with this bike. You know the sound, you know what it's supposed to feel like. The more you know a bike, the better chance you have of buying something that's not going to fall apart, because you can feel it right away. So obviously not everyone's going to be able to do that, but you know, if you can, then absolutely do it. And the last thing is, you know, get on the bike. Like I said, just get on the bike and go for a ride, and make sure that when you do go for a ride, get up to higher speeds. If there's a highway out there, try it on a highway, see how it feels. You know, is it accelerating right? Is it braking right? What does a clutch feel like? Is it too hard, or is it getting stuck? On the SR 500 that I just bought, I noticed right away there was a crack on the cover, and the clutch was kind of weird. So chances are I'm going to have to change the clutch, because you know, it's broken from the inside. But it's not leaking. But it was enough for me to you know, realize that I had to mention that when buying the bike. I said, dude, I'm going to have to change this, and this is going to cost me this and that. So therefore, you know, and I had a whole list of things. And I said, all right, here's your price. This is what I'm going to have to spend to make it ride. What do you think? And that's how you negotiate. That's how you do it. So anyway, so you get on the bike, try it out, and then you take it from there. So anyway, I hope that helps a bit. There are a lot of videos out there, extensive videos on YouTube that'll show you how to, you know, and forums and stuff. So if you really want to know the details about like how to check this and that, then look for them on the internet, Google them or whatever. They're out there. It'll be a big help. But in general, when you want to build a cafe racer or a tracker, those are the things to look for. So I hope that helps a bit. And it's starting to rain. So I'm going to get out of here and get some sushi. And remember to subscribe and ride. And I'll catch you all later.